Hi, Rich with DryHero. Today we're in a house that's been water damaged as a result of a frozen hose bib. Follow me and we'll go take a look at the damage. This room is where the frozen pipe is. There's a frozen pipe above this ceiling. And you can see that there's a wet drywall seam there. We've got some blistered latex paint on that soffit. And on the surface, the damage doesn't look that bad. I've got a thermal imaging camera, and this is great because it reveals what's going on with this drywall. Those purple areas indicate where that drywall is wet. The ceiling's pretty wet. There's that seam. And to the naked eye, you don't see much. But the camera really shows it up. In this room, we've got the same sort of thing going on. We've got some blistered latex paint along this beam. Kind of cool the way that blisters up, but water ran across that ceiling in here. Some minor staining around that beam. Again, carpet and pad are synthetic. They're going to be fine. But this is pretty typical of what a water damaged basement looks like as a result of a frozen hose bib. Now when the plumber cuts that hose bib out, we're going to take a look at it, kind of show you what that looks like, and hopefully we can avoid this from happening at your own house. We've got the old hose bib cut out, and I'll show you what that looks like. Hopefully this is helpful so you can prevent this from happening in your basement. This is our hose bib, sill cock, faucet, whatever you want to call it. This is how you turn your water off and on, hook your garden hose up to it. And if you look closely, there's our split. That little guy is what caused all this damage. And what happens is these things will freeze in the winter and they don't leak until you turn the valve on. And as soon as you turn that hose off, they stop leaking. So they're kind of finicky. What I recommend is in the spring, the first time you use that hose for the season, make sure that that this valve isn't frozen. So if you can hold your finger over the valve and you can still hear water, you better shut it off and get down to your basement and take a look at things. Alright, got one last bonus for you. We're going to go to the mechanical room. We've got the equipment running now. I want to show you, this room's adjacent to the water damage room. And let's look at how this wall is finished out and why a water damaged basement can get you into trouble. Here's our fiberglass insulation, plastic vapor barrier, and then we've got our drywall behind it. And that shadow there is where the sheetrock is wet. We'll put a meter on it, let you see how that jumps that needle up. That drywall is soaked, and that plastic will hold it on there for quite a while. And that's why building codes used to require that you put this up because they thought it would keep the moisture out, and in a way it did. But once it gets behind there, it also doesn't allow it to breathe. This will stay wet for weeks. And in that time, it's pretty likely that you would have mold growth. So you can't tell. If you look at this wall from the other side, the paint looks fine. You can't determine that it's wet unless you have some sensitive moisture meters. So don't make the mistake of just focusing on your carpet and pad if you have a water damaged basement. Call somebody in and have them look at it for you and have them actually meter your walls. And they even make probes that you can test the insulation from the outside of the wall to determine if it's wet as well.